Tonight, we're going to talk about Extreme Ham Radio, and we're basically just going to use this as kind of a fun opportunity to go through and look at some of the people that are even crazier than me. And there is people out there that are more absolutely insane than I am. And I am insane. They are more insane. And we're going to take a ride into the depths of that insanity tonight. So I'm glad you're here for the ride. Well, let's just move right along. We're going to start with, let's see here. We're going to talk about some of the most extreme ham shacks and antennas that we've seen. We're going to talk about some extreme repeaters tonight. We're going to talk about pushing the range of your UHF and your VHF signals beyond the horizon, because, of course, you know, that's where the fun is, just beyond the horizon. And stories of extreme setups and different things that for everything from antennas to setups to arrays. We're going to talk about all of that tonight. First thing I want to talk about is the brand new thing that just came out. Joseph, you want to take this?
Yes, there's been a advancement in Chinese nuclear fission technology, which has allowed for the 900 watt Baofeng UV10R. This thing is amazing. It has 500 kilometer range just with this stock rubber duck. And the best thing about it is that it gives you cancer the first time you key up, but the next time you key up, it kills the cancer.
But can you cook hot dogs with it?
Yes, you can cook hot dogs with it.
In 12 seconds.
Yeah. Like, it's amazing. You just stick the hot dog right on the antenna and key up, and then you pull it off, and it's like done.
It'll cook a whole case of hot dogs at one time. You just shove the antenna in the box.
Yeah.
5 seconds.
It does have a bit of a problem, though. It being Chinese, obviously, it interferes with aliens in the adjacent galaxies around us. So when you
spurious transmissions or something.
Yeah, the spurious emissions make it over to them aliens, and they might get angry. So we better be careful with this one.
Have you ever guys seen what a 900 watt spurious transmission looks like? Oh God. It also, like he says here, and this is important, you hold this about 4 feet out in front of you, which is hard with arms as long as yours, but still. You would hold this out in front of you and transmit for about 1 minute, and it will kill the COVID virus if it's in you as well. So that's a good thing. And of course, with that much wattage, there's going to be some visual effect when you're transmitting. You will see a weird glow, and then you'll see RF burns on your skin. Yeah, I got to tell you guys, the reason we bring this up first tonight is twofold. One, it's an extreme, isn't it? Yeah, it's the biggest lie in ham radio.
I was gonna go look at the calendar and see if it was April 1st, but it's too hot.
I can't believe they can get an unlicensed nuclear accelerator inside this radio, but they do. Anyway, now you would think this is pretty rare, right? People like advertising radios for like way more than there actually are. No, not so much. It happens a lot. Look at all these radios. I want one of each. There's an 80 watt one there. It's got a 30,000 milliamp battery. Some of these batteries have more milliamps than the one in my car.
It's got to be some kind of nuclear reactor.
It's an unlicensed nuclear accelerator pack, just like in Ghostbusters. But yeah, look at some of these. This one in the lower right, 180 kilometers. That's like 130 miles, dude.
Whoa.
You could literally like talk to your mother in Tampa if she's got a ham license, or just use it on FRS, right?
Yeah.
No.
I want a 50,000 watt FRS rig. No, they need to get.
Yeah, I mean, what I really want is a 10,000 watt HF rig, but they haven't. Baofeng hasn't come out with that one yet.
Oh man, this one has a 900,000 milliamp hour battery.
I know. It'll last till the next time Jesus walks to Earth. And you only have to charge it once when you get it.
Now it does take like 20 years to charge using that little
Yeah,
USB charger it comes
yeah.
with.
Yeah, it takes one millennia
Put
to
You
charge.
put it in the charger and the lights flicker.
There you go.
Joseph, I
Mine-
can see you've got a really lot of work in on this, and I'm sure you've had a great time doing it.
Has been shown to cause power brownouts in California.
The hardest part, the worst part is that you have to charge it in the laundry room because that's the only place you have a 220 plug for the charger.
On a much less extreme, you just need to go to the Walmart and look at the FRS radios and look at the range on those.
I know. When you're selling me a 500 milliwatt radio that's operating on UHF with a stock antenna that's this long, and you're telling me 12 to 20 miles?
Yeah.
Are those statute miles or Disney miles?
With this one here at the bottom, the orange one, when it says hot in the corner, they mean it too.
That is
This
hot.
is
Yeah,
your
it's
It
hot in your
radiates
hand.
in the thermal band.
This is your radio on crack. Any questions?
I thought we'd have fun with this. It was Joseph's idea, but I thought this would be great. Yeah, and I want one last thing. You guys understand the conversion chart, right?
Oh yeah.
When you're really talking the real radios, you still have to use the English Chinese conversion chart. And so I want you guys to understand that because it's very, very important. If you don't use the chart right, what'll end up happening is you'll buy a radio and you'll think that it's a lot better radio than you're actually getting. If you're buying a 10-watt Baofeng or a 10-watt TYT or something like that, it's about 7.5 watts on the current currency.
sure
You
it
just
isn't
you just
less
have
than
to
that?
check it. Yeah. It depends. My 8-watt Baofeng's good for about 5.5 watts on
The
2
exchange
meter.
rate does vary, however.
It does. Yeah, the exchange rate goes up and down depending on the monetary value of wattage or something. But I do have one. I got my Baofeng, this one here, the waterproof one that I bought. This one's an 8-watt radio that puts out just shy of 6. And this TYT right here, my favorite radio in the whole world. This one right here. This one is a 10-watt radio and it puts out about 7.5, but its performance is really good compared to all the other Chinese radios. So, but then of course your regular Baofengs, if they're 5 watts, are going to come in somewhere between 3.5 and 4 watts on 2 meters. So just remember that when you buy a Yazoo or something, you're going to get that wattage. You know, my Yazoo puts out exactly what it says it puts out, and the thing's like 10 years old and it's been used to heck and back, and it still puts out exactly what it says. So there's something to be said for buying good radios. At least that's what
Right.
my buddy John says.
They're built
And,
like tanks.
And my ICOM, I tested it not long ago with a buddy's equipment, and man, it's putting out exactly like 103 watts. It's perfect. So, you know, there's something to be said for buying that. But we just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention.
Boy, I'm going
Watch
to mark
out.
that on my calendar again.
Yeah. Well, hey, you guys got to understand where I'm at on all this, okay? I want you guys to be clear on where I'm at on all this. I believe that the Chinese radios are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful playing their part. But then we all grow up and we start getting our big boy radios. I don't have a lot of money, so a lot of my radios are still the kiddie radios. But I will tell you something. I've talked many, many miles on my Baofengs, and they are good radios. Right now, to this day, I have my UV9R that I bought that has the 220 on one side and the 775 on the other. I hooked it up to a good $20 mic. Do not buy one of those Baofeng $8 mics. They're garbage. Buy a real mic. And this is my base radio. I put a rubber band around it to keep it in the charger. I Velcro the charger down to the desk. And that is now my base radio. I leave it on the 775. If I hear you guys on the 220, I just hit the blue button one time and I'm talking on the 220. I got it hooked up to a big Motorola speaker up here, so I got beautiful sound coming out of it. And I call it the world's cheapest base radio. All right. Let's get back to the slides here and see where we're at. All right. Joseph, take it away.
All right, so this repeater is one that I like this repeater. It's in Miami, and a lot of y'all probably already know about that beam I built. Well, the beam was mostly so I could get into far away repeaters, and this one certainly was worth my time because John knows a little bit about this one already. This repeater is on the tallest building in Miami. It is on the Panorama Tower. So if you look on the map, you can see where that is. And it has a humongous footprint, like the biggest I've ever seen from a repeater. There might be another one on a mountain somewhere, but for not being on a mountain, this one is huge. So, yes. So the view from the antenna is actually pretty crazy. This is looking back towards Fort Myers from where it is. And man, look how high up that is above the city. Like that's above a bunch of skyscrapers. And it's tall.
I think I can see my house.
Yeah. You can see my house from here.
It's about like the view from the Atlanta Radio Club repeater.
Where are they on? Are they on a mountain?
They're on the what used to be called the Bank of America building in downtown Atlanta. So that thing that used to be the 9th tallest building in the world, but it covers some real estate. So
Wow.
It's up there.
I've probably seen that building at some point.
Yeah. At night, it looks like it's lit up, kind of like the Eiffel Tower is. It's humongous.
Wow.
So
That's
if
a
you
good
ever go
spot
down-
for an antenna. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
This is a great one, guys, because if you're looking for a way to test a new
Yeah.
antenna, like I'm working on a 10 element Yagi right now, and I'm trying to get into this antenna. That's kind of my goal. So,
Yeah,
that's 2-meter duplexers.
Yeah, that's the repeater hardware right there. You can see the duplexers and everything. It's a Hytera repeater. The guy who set this up is like a Hytera dealer, I think. So he was able to get like a brand new controller and everything, which is pretty cool. If you look at the bottom, you can see what they calculated to be their footprint, and that's mostly accurate for just mobile or handheld or whatever. But the signal does reach into Fort Myers if you put up a directional antenna. Every night or so, if we go to what do I say? The next slide, I have some more pictures here of it.
Okay.
What's their reaction when you talk to them from Fort
They're
Myers?
like, "Oh man, you coming all the way from Fort Myers?" And I'm like, "Yep." That's the antenna right there. It's a CommScope DB420. This thing is huge. It costs like $5,000 or something on the CommScope website. It is giant. You can see it's got all those little folded dipoles on there. That thing is huge, and it's already up on this.
Bays, probably.
Yeah, it's up on this building already. It's super high up, so that's a really good antenna. And so yeah, they do most of the heavy lifting, but with a little bit of effort on our end here in Fort Myers, we can get in. Normally your signal will be about half. If you have a beam like mine pointed at them, it'll be about S5. But at night, it can come in super strong because there is like, I don't know what it is, ducting, sporadic E, propagation, but every night it routinely gets brought over here. The signal just gets so good here. And I don't know what it is exactly, but man, at night, sometimes it'll come in super strong.
I wonder what they do for lightning protection.
I don't know.
I'd be curious next time you go over there and look.
I need to ask them what they do about that.
Yeah.
I wonder if they use the duck and pray method that I use.
Dodge the lightning.
Yeah. It's
probably
probably more
got some-
similar to the TV stations and their lightning protection.
Probably, I would think so. Was that it? Okay, yeah. So if you're interested in talking into this repeater, there's a few things you need. Number one is a directional antenna. Very rarely the ducting or whatever will be good enough that you can actually pick it up on a handheld. I have talked into this repeater on a handheld before. In fact, it was pretty recently. And you can hear it in your mobile as well. So if you're bored with your radio in your car, just turn it over to 444-325. And if you hear something come through, that means we got really good conditions, because every now and then it'll really get good.
And I'll tell you guys why. I think one of the reasons why we're doing so well with this repeater is because if you got something up 30 or 40 feet like he does out in Buckingham area, his antenna is high enough that it's getting him out of Lehigh. It's getting him over Lehigh. The antenna on the other end is on the top of a building, and it's high enough that it's getting you out of Miami. When we draw a line on the map, which we did between his house and my house and that antenna, once you get through Lehigh, there's nothing until you get to like Miami. I mean, it's just grass. There's
Just
nothing
flat
but
plains. Yeah.
Everglades, and it's the flattest land, and there's water right at the surface. And I really believe that because your towers get you out of the cities on both sides, and then all that's right where the earth comes up between your two signals is all, let me turn that off, right where the earth comes up between your beam is the best conditions ever. And I think that's a lot of the reason why you're able to get that at 135 miles or something. 130 miles, isn't that what we said?
Yeah, it's about 130 to you and about 114 to me, I think.
Yeah.
It's
So-
probably
Nothing
ground wave
between your
propagation
antenna and Miami, but pythons.
Yeah.
and alligators.
Yeah. And alligators and all that kind of stuff.
It's probably ground wave propagation. I wonder if it's that, because that does really well over wet ground and flat areas.
Yeah, but ground wave is generally a lower band thing, but it does, as you know, everything can affect any band when the conditions are just right. But I don't, who knows? I think it's a really interesting phenomenon that's happening, that we're able to talk on this UHF antenna that's so far away. So anyway,
And
we wanted you guys to try that out.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's UHF, and UHF generally has, the higher the frequency you go, the more limited you are to line of sight. But this thing
Right.
just kind of breaks that rule because it goes crazy. I mean, I was transmitting into that repeater and it was coming back, and Ian could hear me on his area. Like, we were the most inefficient way of talking to each other ever, but it was going to Miami and coming all the way back, and it's pretty amazing that it works so well. So yeah, that's my entry for this. An amplifier. Oh, that's one I think I was going to mention. I got this 100-watt amplifier. The signal does fade in and out. I guess the conditions just kind of move around or something, but it'll fade out to like an S1 and then come back, and then S1 and come back, relatively quickly. So having a little bit more power to push than, because most radios put out less power on UHF than they do on 2-meter. So if your radio is listed as a 50-watt, it's probably only putting out 25 or 35 on UHF, which I don't know why that is. I guess it's less efficient or something. So I don't know why that is, but I found a lot
Every
of
radio
radios.
I have puts out less on UHF than VHF, whether it says it does or not. So if you guys have a 5-watt radio, that's 3.5 watts UHF normally.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you that you're not getting the same horsepower. So
I really would like an answer if anybody knows why that is. Why is UHF lower power than lower frequency? I don't know. Maybe the finals aren't
The
as.
higher you go in frequency, the less efficient the transmitters are. In other words, it takes more amperage to run a 440 transmitter than it does a 2-meter transmitter. So they build some limitations, and most of the major manufacturers do this. A mobile that's 50 watts on 2-meter generally will be 35. And that's because of the power demands. If you buy a strictly 440 radio that's 50 watts or 65 watts or whatever, it's probably going to have 10 or 12 gauge wire for the power leads on it, because it just draws so much more power.
It's
Okay,
kind
I
of like
see.
the electric bill for a UHF TV station.
All right, well, that explains
folks
it.
have no idea what electric bills run for TV and radio stations.
Immense.
Yeah, because when you get done paying for your $100,000 FCC license, then you can pay your $90,000 electric bill. Then you wonder why you listen to so many commercials on that radio when you listen to it.
Really.
I could do the math for you. You won't like it. Anyway, let's move on.
Meanwhile, Florida Power and Light is very happy.
Yeah. I'm telling you, electricity is something you don't think about with broadcasting, and it is a huge factor that you have to figure in, just like your licenses. Those are two of the bigger things you'll spend money on. Radio and TV are one of the few businesses where you actually don't spend more money on manpower.
Yeah.
All right, this is what I aspire to be. I would have painted it black. That's the only difference. But yeah, I like that. This is really cool. This is more of a museum type thing, but what a great ham shack. I mean, this is a W9 EVT, and
He's gonna need to grow a few more mouths to use all these radios.
well, what I want to see is what the outside of that wall looks like.
If you keyed them all down, the lights would flicker.
I know. And there's some really cool stuff up there. I'd really like to for him to explain to me how it works. But I don't know. I love this one. Every time I see this, I'm like, oh God, look at that. It's so cool. All right.
Like a museum. I think it's officially known as like or he calls it a museum. Just because of, I mean, look at it. It's got, and then the one thing you don't see, I don't know if I put a picture in here of it or not, but there's on the other wall, it's more of the same shelves with radios on them. So that's, yeah, he's got quite the collection.
That'd be a hell of a contest station.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what knob to turn.
Just pick one and start tuning. That's was that, hold on, is that the same call sign as the other one? W9
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, that's his 80. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. That, so he has an antenna farm, but this is the one of the biggest ones. He's got, it says 80-meter antenna. And it's up on that huge tower. I mean, that's what we all want, right? We want that. But man, he's got like
Wow.
an elevator in there to go up and down because of how big this thing is.
TV stations.
But yeah, he's got quite
that's
the,
something else. That's like a half-wave dipole.
for 80 meters.
For
And
80
look how-
meters. It's like 40 meters wide.
I wonder if he had to use one of those big helicopters to install that, kind of
Oh.
like the TV stations did when they just did the channel repacking.
Probably.
Yeah, that video NBC2 put out was something else. Did you see that?
Isn't that something?
Yeah, if you guys Google that on YouTube, NBC2 took some high def footage of them putting their new tower, the new stick on their tower, and really cool video.
Yeah, there were a bunch of those around the country. I watched, I think, all of them. Oh man,
This
look
was one I found that this is a DX station, and it's in Finland near the Arctic Circle. And yeah, those are Yankees up there.
Wow.
I love this stuff, dude. Oh God,
It's
my
not
wife
really
would-
amateur anymore at this point. I mean,
Oh well,
at
oh,
what
it's like
point
a
does it
shortwave
become?
broadcasting station?
yeah. The term amateur, in my opinion, just means we're not being paid a salary. Yeah, that because this is
Professional
definitely
ham radio
professional
operator.
stuff right here. But yeah, this one here is really cool. This one I don't know if that rotates, but it probably does. Who knows? Could you imagine? My lord. But they're
You need an
using
engine
it.
out of a race car to turn it.
I know. Well, we're going to see some big rotors. I got a few more really big rotors in here. But yeah, something like that you could pretty much talk around the world on. This is what it looks like from up top. And that's the rotor for it
You
down
can
on the
walk
lower
in it.
right. Yeah, you can actually walk in it. And that is the rotor we were just talking about in the lower right corner.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah. I could put my house on that rotor.
So
Uh,
that sucker is obviously sitting on the ground, so the whole tower apparently turns.
I know that's what. Yeah, unless there's something that goes, but I didn't see anything going all the way up through the middle, so I don't know. I guess, yeah.
I wonder if they have
Ah.
like a ring for the guy wires that can like rotate.
I don't
Wow,
know.
it's a
Must have
7
160
kilowatt.
meter beam.
Wow. Got 15.7 dBi and 12.9 dBi. That's insane.
Send one little dit on 5 watts. It sounds like a cannon blast.
Yeah, they can hear a mosquito fart in Guam. How about this one? Talk
Man.
about your VHF UHF.
See, this is what I like. See, I'm like a VHF UHF. I like it a little bit better than HF. And this is what I need right here. If I do
This
this,
guy
I'll
could run an
overload the
intergalactic
repeater, man.
woodpecker.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
pointing at
want
the
you
sky
guys-
right now.
I want you to see how this works. the rotator is located in the middle,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the outsides are on a round track that
Yeah,
goes
look
all
at
the
those
way
wheels.
around,
So,
and there's
like
wheels.
an irrigation system.
Exactly, like
Yeah,
the big
center pivot.
sprinklers you see off 75 there in the tobacco and the cotton farms.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the technology they're using there to be able to rotate this thing around.
ET phone home.
Yeah.
Yeah, ET could have done it with this, no problem.
Oh my
Here's a-
gosh, what is this?
How about this one?
He's
I want
got it.
this one. Yeah, how about some? I don't know what that is. It looks like it. I don't know.
It's
What
an
could that be?
elevator.
To 10, 10? No, I mean the Yagi. That's a Yagi he's bringing down.
Whoa.
Look at it. It's a
On an
Yagi. The
elevator,
driven
yeah.
element's on the right.
What? Bang.
I want that Yagi. Of course, it would be hanging in two of my neighbors' yards.
Wow.
Yeah, I like
That
this.
is crazy. Yeah, that looks like, well, it looks like something a little bit lower than like 10 meter.
Yeah,
Why
it
didn't
almost
you-
it looks like it could be long enough, almost long enough to be. I don't know. It's not long enough to be 20 meters, so I don't know what it is. I kept
20
thinking it was
radio.
10 meters
Or 6.
because it's
I-
definitely
I-
it's
I bet
definitely
it-
longer than 6.
Yeah, it could be 20 meters.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be
Look at the length compared to that crane or the truck sitting there. Look at the length of those radial or the directors and reflectors.
Yeah.
And that could well be 20 meters.
That's even bigger than that monster we put up at Keesler Air Force Base that time.
Wow.
I'm forced to wonder what's on the other end of what's it pointing at? Because I
Oh,
realize
no.
we
You
are
better get
looking
out of
at
the way.
some. Well, we're looking at some very. That's a proper phrasing for this one. Rural, very rural antennas,
Yes.
possibly far enough out that the only other link they think they can reach is possibly another one about the same size.
It's
This is gonna
probably-
be like, this is like worldwide kind of stuff, though, don't you think? I mean,
Oh
this
my
is
God,
gonna
that
go
looks like-
around the earth like
That
3
looks like some
times.
kind of crazy
No,
alien
that's-
broadcast station.
You know, that's not necessarily the case. You know, it's the only way I work the good DX is because these guys have these big ass antenna systems.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
I don't have a big antenna system. So, you know, when I work a DX station, you know, if I work this guy in Finland, it'd be on account of his antenna, not on account of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is another big DXing station that they've got out here. This is notice those white things down there? Those are all towers.
Yeah.
These are big arrays, basically groupings of towers. There's another
Man,
one
that's
there in the
big.
distance.
That's bigger than some of the AM broadcast arrays I've seen.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that's that. There's an 80 meter array there.
Yeah, but if it's a DX, I guess yeah. Wow. You got to have a lot of land for this. I mean, this just takes up. Imagine the feed line too, because these are way out in the middle of a field, and even
Well, see,
though
I would if I had this kind of money, I'd have an air conditioned box out there with my transmitter in it.
yeah, and just operate remotely. Because I mean,
Yeah.
even on the lower band, that a mile's worth of feed line is still gonna.
Look at that, a 160 meter array.
I saw a picture
Yeah.
of someone's antenna farm, and they showed the feed line for one of the antennas, and it was like this big around. They had some kind of hard line. It was like 4-inch thick hard line or something.
Some of the AM broadcast stations. That's what it reminds me of.
Or WWV, they have a pretty big antenna system.
Yeah.
The funny thing is WWV, like if you look at the aerial shots, there's like ranch farmhouses nearby. Can they even use any radio in their house with that thing right next to them?
Well, WWV's only running 10 kilowatts. You ought to
Still,
live in
they're-
Atlanta right next to the 50 kilowatt WSB transmitter. Now that's I've got some friends that have had problems with that.
I
There's
would
4
think, yeah.
Yeegis.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. Now, what band are those? Those look like a little bit higher.
It's hard to tell without perspective. I think,
Wow.
is that,
Those actually might be really big. Because look how the thickness of the tower. Look at the thickness of the tower itself. Those are huge. And they're four stacked.
this thing really just
Some wild stuff.
it's weird, wild stuff.
That's
You know-
crazy though.
You know,
Puts
Ed,
my
that is weird, wild stuff, Ed. You are correct, sir. It sucks when I have to do both Johnny and Ed's part. What is this thing doing? You know, these slideshows do not like showing videos, just for the record. Look at this thing. I don't know what
Oh,
it's
no.
doing. Oh, you know what it is? I got a cat sleeping on the control button.
Probably doing Windows updates.
No, he got rid of the updates.
Oh,
I don't do
good.
updates. And you shouldn't either.
Keep up, Ian.
Unless they're on Linux, they have some good updates.
I don't do any updates. I'll be honest with you guys. I run a task that runs every 12 minutes or whatever, and that task actually cleans out my download file. And then on all of my ones that are professional models, I have it actually shut off. But I do not allow Bill Gates into my systems once I purchase them.
I think
You
Joel
can stay
Gates
out.
vanished anyway.
I want to go back to being on full Linux, but right now the multi-monitor support is not great for high refresh rate monitors.
Yeah.
So I gotta wait a few months and then I'll probably make it my main thing. Because
Guys, this thing rotates.
does that really?
Unbelievable.
That rotates. That's pretty big for a backyard.
Yeah. Well, somebody has to challenge the Russian woodpecker.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, the 15 million per module. You guys, there's like
Hold on,
20
what is a-
modules up
What
there.
is a module? Is that
That's
just-
what I'm saying. There's a lot of modules up there.
Why does it cost 20 million though?
There is a special metallurgy that is necessary. Did I say that right? Necessary to build this particular kind of antenna. It's a specific kind of antenna. And because of the special metallurgy that is required, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, what to say.
Here's another one.
Oh gosh, 80-meter rotate.
Look at a rotator on this. So you know what? Oh my goodness. That's the rotator.
It's like a train. It's got a track.
It is. It's actually they used parts off a train rotator. That's actually where they got the parts
Wow.
for it. Look at that thing, dude. That's on a
Look at those
rotator.
elements.
I wonder what they had to do to get HOA approval for that.
I don't know. That's at least 3 children right there.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. How is it guide? It must be guide somehow. It seems like the wind would just blow it over. I mean, how do you guide something like that? I don't think you
yeah, because
can.
I mean, even though there's no sail, there's still a lot of wind loading up there.
Yeah, a lot.
I
A
mean,
lot more than
maybe
you'd think, actually.
It's probably an area without very strong storms.
Yeah.
Not
And
something you want to put up in Florida.
oh heck no.
no. No.
Plus the base is probably heavy enough to hold everything in place.
That's it. You can see its guide to that huge base.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean it would take a lot to make that giant metal frame thing to fall over. That is wow.
Give it long enough, Mother Nature will do it.
Guy
Yeah.
wires on that thing.
I want to hook a RTL SDR up to that and see what I hear.
There you go.
Yeah, it all comes into one SMA connector.
Yeah.
I just want to put my meter. I want to put my meter on it and see if it'll tune up on.
Yeah.
like,
Plug
on
it directly into your
VHF.
Bofeng.
Yeah, that's
That'll
what I was going to
overload the
try
bow
to do.
thing for sure.
Of course, you've got to have the 900-watt Bofang to activate the
Drive
whole
that
thing.
thing.
But
Look, here's another guy crazier than me with a wife that's more tolerant than mine.
Oh my
And
gosh, he's got 3.
Got antennas?
You think he's married?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm betting he's single.
Hey guys, welcome to Bob Yeagy's house.
Okay.
Oh, look at all
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Man, I was pointing. Wonder what that thing on the top of the center one is.
It's some kind of long ass dipole. There's one below it too.
Oh,
They
I
are,
wonder if
like,
it's like 2
identical.
stacked.
I'm
Wow.
wondering what all the guy wires on the right hand of the screen go to.
Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna get to
Hmm.
see that.
It's probably power lines.
Yeah, it's got power lines right next to. See, he doesn't have your problem. I mean, he just shoots over the power line.
Yeah.
You know, if you could
Wow.
hook a radio up to power lines and not blow it up, that would be a really cool antenna because those things are very huge and you'd only have interference on 60 hertz or
Yeah. That would be crazy though, try to load up the neutral on the power line.
I know people use railroad tracks for VLF like lightning,
Yeah.
and they do some VLF stuff with railroad tracks, which is pretty cool. I wanted to get into
Oh, there's
VLF.
another one, guys.
Wire.
Oh my gosh, what is that?
Open wire feed too. That's
Looks
kind of
like-
unusual.
Wow.
Yep, that's open wire feed into the unbelievable.
It looks
Wow.
like my house. It looks like something I just put up out of nowhere, but it tunes. And this is a
Wow.
finger. And this is a finger. And this is a finger.
It's got verticals out there too.
I know, and in the distance there, I don't know what that is. It
That
must be
his,
like a factory or something, but
I
I was
say he's
like-
gonna put elements on. Ask him if he
This
can put
is
elements on his
wild.
crane.
crazy.
That's his personal crane he keeps
Yeah.
to do antenna maintenance.
Unbelievable.
All right. Well, that's all that is. Did you guys have any other big gun stations or any other crazy rigs or anything out there you guys wanted to let us know about while we got the opportunity here before we go on to the ham radio news?
I never got to use it, but it actually went off the air before I ever got licensed. But I heard a lot of stories when I was a new ham about repeater, a 2-meter repeater in Indiana. It was on top of the Indiana National Bank building that was like 35 stories, and it put out a kilowatt.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
man.
The guy that put it up was a broadcast engineer, a radio broadcast engineer. And he took an old broadcast transmitter, put it on top of that bank tower, and it would do a kilowatt out. And he had rigged something like 6 listening stations all over the
wow.
state. And also on high hills, like out in the country, get a tower at the crest of a big hill. And so they would receive on the input frequency and retransmit to the repeater. And you could work that thing from almost the entire state of Indiana.
Wow.
And it overheated and caught fire.
Yeah.
And I didn't at the time, but I have since gotten to know the guy that actually had it on the air. He's an engineer named Bob Hawkins, and he didn't have the money really to put it back on the air, and after it caught fire and actually did a little damage to the bank building.
Well, I wonder who paid the electric bill.
Probably the bank, and probably unknowingly.
Yeah.
Well,
That would have been a penny, depending on how much talking they do on it. Yeah, I know that
Probably a lot.
when I'm up in Georgia, North Georgia in the mountains, there's one up there. I think it's on Mount Mitchell or somewhere up there on one of
Yeah,
the
that's
big
in North
mountains.
Carolina.
Yeah, and we can hit that. I can hit that one from South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee.
Yeah.
And
Good
I
one.
like to go to a mountain that's like 200 miles away, and as soon as I get to the highest point, I pull over, and with my car radio with a little quarter wave, stupid little $30 antenna on the roof, and I'm talking 5.9 of this thing, 200 miles away. I just love doing stuff like that. That's
You
great.
could go up on Brasstown Bald and talk to
Yeah.
it with your biophone.
Yep. Yeah, I love Brasstown Bald. That's a great place.
Yeah.
And Buck Bald is a good one because I'm wanting to set up on Buck Bald at some point. It's literally a bald top mountain, and they've got a little park up there, but it's not marked well, and nobody really knows about it. And it's kind of cool because there's not a lot of people going up there.
There's a repeater on top of Mount Eagle in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's about halfway between Nashville and Knoxville, or Nashville and Chattanooga, actually.
Yeah.
Is that you could probably work from where you are in North Georgia.
and this is like an HF repeater.
No,
No.
it's,
Oh, it's 2 meters.
I think it's 2 meter.
it's just that the one I'm talking about on Mount Mitchell it's at 6,000 feet.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I mean, you could literally,
yeah. Mount
if you're
Mitchell's the
200
highest
miles
point in the eastern United States.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if you're at a point 200 miles away and you're 3,000 or 4,000 feet up on another mountain,
Yeah.
it's literally line of sight, even though it's 200
You can
miles
drive
away.
Well, you can drive up I-85 between Atlanta and Charlotte. Once you get to about Spartanburg, well, not Spartanburg, but Anderson up in that area, you can get on this thing and talk to people solid for quite some time.
Yeah.
Off of I-85.
So just remember, if you've only done ham radio down here, if you're going to go on a trip or somewhere, it's worth it to look up the repeater frequencies for these big repeaters up in the areas where you're going to be and actually program them in. I also I have a program I wrote for when I go up to my cabin, and whatever radios I'm bringing with me, I blow this program into them, and it's basically the standard frequency list for up there, but it also has all the SARNet frequencies in progression, starting at Lee County, going all the way up to Live Oak, so that I can stay on SARNet going in and out of Florida. And then once I get into Georgia, I've got these 3 or 4 Atlanta stations I like to listen to going through Atlanta that are up on buildings you can hear for miles. And then once I get up there, I've got my little repeaters in my little towns up there, and they don't do a lot up there on ham radio because there's not a lot of people up there, but they do have a couple nets every week. All right. Anything else? Any other extreme amateur radio stuff you guys want to tell us about real quick before we move on?
But you can look at W8JI's site. He has, he's in the middle of Georgia. He's around Macon, I think, just below Macon. And he's got a lot of good stuff in there about how he protects his place, protects it against lightning, but he's got a 300-foot tower.
Oh, wow.
So you might want to look at that. W8JI.com. So
Yeah, I'm on the website now. I've got it here. I'm going to go through. There's so many good amateur radio websites.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. Let's see here.
See, when
Okay.
they've got a tower that's got intermittent white and red stripes on it,
Yep.
that's when you know
Yeah.
it's a
So
big
that's
talker.
up there high. I don't remember if he said he's got a repeater on there, but y'all just look through that site and see all of the cables he's got running. That's a contest station. So
Yeah.
that's why it's so
Yeah.
huge.
Oh,
I'll tell you guys, I so want to get into contesting more. I'm getting where I really love it. It's really cool stuff. All right, let's
Yeah, there you go. That's him. Well, that's
man,
the
look
guy.
at that.
Name is
yeah,
Tom
there you go.
Ralph.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a huge crane.
Oh, yeah.
Is that like
Listen,
the
that-
world's long? Look, go back up just for a second. Now, I'm a retired firefighter, and I'm going to tell you that's the world's tallest fire ladder I've ever seen in my life right there. Okay. I got
I don't know how he got that there, but he did. So
that is the tallest ladder I've ever seen in my life. I mean, what?
He props it up against the antenna towers to climb it.
yeah, I don't remember if that's Ron 45 or 65, but he's got a 65 up there. And that's the one that goes up about 300 feet.
Oh, I see. That wasn't a ladder. That was the actual antenna they were putting up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at that. I thought that other thing was the actual antenna at first. I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I looking at here? Okay.
Yeah. But
This is
The one
amateur
on the-
radio stuff we're looking at. My Lord.
absolutely. Well, he's got a repeater in that one on the left, and then to see the beam on the one on the right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's probably I wouldn't be.
He's got
surprised
more.
if
He's got one here and here and here, and he's got 4 stacked up beams and some hexagon shaped right here too. I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure what it is either.
Wow. Yeah, you better have a repeater up there. That's what you gotta do. If you have one of these giant towers, you gotta put a repeater up there.
Which I've got a repeater in.
Oh wow, that's a very tall tower. Look how tall that is. That's taller than all the others.
That's more like
Why is that even guide? It's like wow.
Well, that's cool.
yeah, he's got a great station.
That's
All
awesome.
right. Well, guys, I hope you enjoy it. We just try to take a little trip to show you guys some of what's going on out there in ham radio, because I think a lot of people don't realize how crazy ham radio can be. There's a lot of people that are fanatical like me and have money, and that's a dangerous combination.
That is a whole combination.
Ian, I've got one.
The Lord's only blessed me with one of those two problems.
Ian, I've got a crazy guy like you who's got more money than sense.
Really?
Yeah, Echo, Kilo Echo 5, Echo Echo. If you permit me, I'll share the screen with you.
Yeah,
He's-
go ahead.
Do this.
He's
It's
got
open.
a 200-foot rotating tower with 6 step IR 3-element beams on it.
Holy crap! We got to see this thing.
Nice.
You're sharing the screen, so we can't share.
Yeah, here we go.
Holy shit!
It's a Stan, and you can work him any morning on 20 meters. This here, I don't know if you can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can see it.
Okay. So this here is the 200-foot rotator. There's the rotator. That's the 200-foot rotating
Wow.
mast, and he's got 6. You can kind of see them. Step IR 3 elements on there. I think there's a better picture than that. But he is crazy
Oh my
rich.
God.
Yeah, there they are.
Man, I think that was.
And somewhere I've got a picture of his whole. Oh yeah, that's his whole setup. He's got 11 masts. So I'm not quite sure. He's got a
This
4
is-
square
Talk to him.
160. But at the beginning of his website, he says, "I am not a contester." So there's the
Yeah, that's hard to believe.
yeah, no, and he's not. It's not a contest station. So it's Kilo Echo 5, Echo Echo. Stan, really nice guy. First thing in the morning, I called in there one day. Just I knew more or less where he was, and I was working up in Pensacola, and I went round there one evening after work. I'm going to
Pinball.
show you some more pictures. There's a picture of his shack in there, but it's changed since then.
This
And I
might be
was
the guy.
driving, he lives on a corner, so I was driving around it looking, and he came out. And then when he realized it was me, he asked me in, and we had a look around. His wife is absolutely gorgeous as well. I'm trying to show a picture of his shack. Yeah, there's one of the step IRs. He replaced the step IRs that we saw earlier with the newer ones. Oh, I got a picture of his shack here somewhere. Yeah,
They're
there it
in
is.
here. Yeah.
So
Nice.
you'll recognize these as the
Wow.
high-end Kenwoods.
Indeed.
There's 4 of them.
Got
This is
4.
a bank of amplifiers, and this is some kind of clever switching.
Are those tuners?
Yeah, they might be. I don't know. It's beyond my.
Wow. I think this is the guy who had the 4-inch thick feed line.
Yeah, There's a picture of that here somewhere as well. Yeah, there's the,
Oh,
no, that's
wow.
the older Step IRs. But that's the 200-foot rotating tower. He's replaced these now with the trombone type. That's when I saw it at the trombones. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
And he's got a picture with that's the regular
LMR
coax
400.
in the middle of it.
That's the LMR 400 in the middle there.
And then the hard line. Geez, you could put a broadcast station on that hard line.
Well, his losses, he's got a 200-foot line of this, and his losses are greater in the pigtail than they are in the 200-foot line.
Oh, I'm certain.
And there's the rotator.
Is that his ham shack?
This is just.
Yeah.
But
No,
I tell you, you can work any morning.
That's his outhouse.
Yeah, you can work.
Well, it's
any
like
morning.
Doctor Who. It's a lot bigger on the inside than on the outside. So-
You're like the TARDIS. Anyway,
Yeah.
he's a real nice guy. 14207 in the mornings, and he actually, encourages you to call him, and he will put you in contact with the Japanese stations and Indonesian stations and wherever. Really nice guy. So you don't have to be an asshole to have money, and most people are, but unfortunately he's not. So, and I will share mine. I've got a crazy station, and I don't think anyone can beat this. I've got 13 antennas in my attic.
In your attic? Oh,
Attic.
we're
Let's see.
probably second place.
I think I can follow.
5-element step IR beams. You gotta have a big attic there.
No, I haven't got a step up. I've got a couple of bazookas, 20-meter bazookas. I've got one 40-meter offset center fed window, which is like kinked, and I've got an 80-meter, which is technically 3/4 of it is in the attic. A little bit of it is out the rear lanai, and a little bit is out the front. Then I've got a 6-meter hamstick vertical. I've got a 6-meter loop. I've got a 4-element 6-meter beam that I had to build up there and fit between all the joists. I've actually got pictures.
Ooh, man, that must not have been fun.
And I've got 3 Moxons for 6 meters because I can't rotate. I live in an HOA, so I've got the 4-element pointing northwest, and then the others are pointing at the opposite end. And then I've got a 2-meter 77s vertical. I've got a 2-meter Slim Jim, which I've just been modifying to work on, made a copper pipe to work on 77s, and another 6-meter vertical, which is a ladder line Slim Jim. So there are other crazy peoples out there, Ian. And
We're
if I-
we're
There you
second place. We have 6 total antennas in our attic.
Well, I've got 3 more to go up when I've got time. I'm going to put a 20-meter Moxon
Oh my god.
wire. And then I want to put, I'm actually designing a 2-meter and 70 sems Moxon, but they fit inside of each other in a cross. So,
What?
because where I live here in Bonita Springs, I'm exactly 90 degrees between our 2 local repeaters, the 030 and the 670. So if I put 2 Moxons, one for 70 sems, one for 2 meters, opposite to each other at 90 degrees, they'll feed both the repeaters. In theory, I have got pictures. I did find the pictures. No, hang on. Wait. Yeah, there's the beam.
Oh wow.
I can't open
You
them
got
up.
a lot of room up there. You got a really tall.
Yeah, here's the 6-meter beam.
Wow.
As you can see, I had to build it in.
Wow.
Man,
If I can change, there's one of the Moxons
yeah.
built on Ian's favorite stuff.
PVC.
There's one of the this here is the 40-meter Wyndham. It goes off that direction and off that direction, and then this is the feed down to that's the Ballam, and then it feeds down to the choke. This is the elements for the 6-meter. This is a different Moxon pointing in the other direction. There's the Slim Jim, which now has got a 1/2-inch copper pipe section there to make it work on 77s on 2 meters. Here's the other part of the 40-meter window. And I'll put lights up there, as you can see, plenty of light.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the 2 meter. There's a ladder. It gives you some idea how big the attic is. This is a ladder.
Oh, yeah, you got a huge head.
This is a 2 meter 77s vertical. Yeah, that's a different Moxon as well. That's the third Moxon. And then in the background, I know it's running above me here, is the mother-in-law. So I think there was a couple earlier on that we'd missed. Yeah, that's the sharp end of the 6 meter dipole. 6 meter beam, sorry, 4-element. This is the feed line. And really, this crap doesn't make any difference. But what I found out is that Moxons really don't care about all this. Everything else does. No, that's about it. Everything else really is affected by, as you see, there's not much metal in the attic. I took out all the metal ones and replaced with wood on the, this I put in, but these are how the house was constructed. But these used to be metal, and I took them out and replaced them with high grade plywood, as you can see all the way through. And here, to give me less metal crap around the roof.
Wow. That is super cool.
So anyway, I thought I'd share. There's more lunatics out here than you think.
Which direction is that 6 meter beam facing?
That's facing northeast.
Oh, good.
So that I'll show you who I am for a minute. There you go. So that's facing in the northeast, and then the other Moxon's facing the one southwest, and then the other two in the opposite directions to that.
So you have, how do you like the performance of the Moxons as, say, like a 3-element beam or something like that? Are they better than that? Or?
Yeah, I think it is. But the main thing is that whatever you build out in the drive, I usually build my antennas out in the drive or the side of the house. I've got a nice plot of area by the side of the house. Whatever I build there, and I construct it, I set it up, I put the SWR, get resonance first, and then I get SWR, everything else all works. And then when I put it up in the attic, it's all different. But when I build a Moxon, and what I'm doing now is I bought a small brazing kit and a welder. So now I'm remaking the Moxons. Instead of making them out of the plastic tubing and wire, I'm making them out of it's aluminum tubing, that they make antennas with. So I'm starting to build those. But what it means is if I build them outside and I put them in the attic, they perform exactly the same. They seem to be very, very insensitive, if that's the right word, to the environment that they're in.
Yeah.
But 3 elements and stuff, I think they're better. But I mean, there's a million things, like when you build an antenna in the attic, it does not perform like the same antenna outside. No. And there's all sorts of things like you're only an absolute maximum of 25 feet above the ground. So, none of your antennas are going to perform very well. And the things like the offset, a dipole does not work very well in the attic at all. I've got, there's also, you didn't see it there, there's also a ham stick dipole up there for 6 meters, which I use on FT8. But a dipole does not seem to like all the crap around the house. But the off-center fed dipole, especially the Wyndhams, they seem to be a lot more tolerant. You've got to make them a little bit shorter because you're closer to the ground. But they work.
That's like my experience with the end-fed half-wave antennas. They're equivalent in radiation to a dipole, but they do not seem to be as reactive to their surroundings like a dipole is. So your end it's fed at a very high impedance end, and it seems to be just about insensitive to how high it is, and they do work very well.
Yeah. Well, I've only lived here now. Well, I've had my ham shack set up now for just about 15 months, and I've worked 91 countries
Awesome.
on different bands, and I've
Yeah.
I've worked WAS, but I haven't got confirmation. I'm still waiting for confirmation on four states, and I've got. I mean, what's up with Wyoming? I've had one contact in Wyoming in all this period.
Yeah.
And I've got on 6 meters, I've got confirmation for 24 states.
Yeah.
6 meters is my favorite band.
Now, about how high are your antennas above the ground?
Absolute maximum, that's the peak. That's above, I've got 2 peaks in the roof, is 25 feet.
Pretty neat.
So it's not high.
Yeah.
And I try to, and I can't put everything up there. So I try to put, the antennas, separate them so that I can, keep the, as best as I can. They don't seem to affect each other too much, but if I put like a vertical polarized next to a horizontal, then, they don't seem to have any problem. But I use a nano VNA and I plot everything here, save the plots, go up in the attic and do something. The other thing is, which is fantastic, is your feed lengths are nothing.
Yeah, that is an advantage.
The center of this, but then again, your RFI is a little bit of a problem. But the center of the attic is just above my shack. My shack's in the middle of the house. So I've got a closet where the antennas come down. I use a switching box. I'm just putting another one up there, so I don't have so many cables coming down. So
what do you use for coax?
I treat this here just like you would QRP, where you use the best of everything.
Yeah.
So I've actually got both of the switches, the remote switches, use LMR 400. I know it's ridiculous; it's like 20 feet at max, but every little tiny bit counts. When you the weakest setup here is the antenna, so I want to squeeze every last ounce out of those that I can. So I use nothing less than RGA. I use some 213 for the velocity factor, for the bazookas. I've got a couple of bazookas up there, which I'm probably going to take down because they don't perform very well. But they were supposed to be good, but they're not. And I feed those with 213, but everything else is RGA or LMR 400 because, I'm buying 20 feet.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
that's
like
like-
investing a fortune,
That's like my biggest HF antennas around the front, and I run it through a 100-foot piece of LMR 400.
Yeah.
And I've had pretty good results with it.
All right. Any questions on that, guys, for Dave or Rick or anybody? All right. And I just will say this. I know that Yeagis are my antenna, and I have been doing them for a while. And I have noticed that they are very affected by their surrounding.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I can make a perfect 5 or 7 element Yagi and put it out there on a tripod in the front yard and get it perfect. And then I move it around, put it on a beam, put it somewhere else, put it up here. And I have to go literally back and start getting it back to where I want it again.
You should try a Moxon.
Yeah.
They're very easy to make, and they're very stable.
Yeah.
But I will tell you one thing about the Yeagis I found is if you use a non-conductive mast and a non-conductive beam, and you don't get them near anything else, they perform amazingly. But the ones I've built with a conductive beam have not done as well. So the PVC ones do the best. All right. And that's probably just because I'm homebrewing them. And when you homebrew something and your mast is non-conductive and your beam is non-conductive, I guess it's kind of like cheating a little bit. But anyway, all right. Anything else on that? Any other extreme stuff you guys want to talk about or any of that before we move on? I do have lots of news tonight.
Just one thing real quick, Ian.
Okay.
And this is an amateur radio, but still it's something that I think a lot of the guys on here would be a lot of the folks on here would be interested in. Google WRMI. It's a shortwave station over north of Okeechobee.
Oh yeah, I think.
And they've got 14 different shortwave stations running out of the same building. And once in a while, they have an open house. And if you ever get the chance to get over there and see it, that is something to really see. And, that is definitely an extreme shortwave station.
I'm looking at the pictures of it here on their website.
I know I've seen the Voice of America Greenville transmitter before they turned it off, and that was amazing. Oh yeah,
The pictures on the website do not do it justice.
oh, I'm sure they don't.
Cow.
You load up enough cows, you can get out on 80 meters.
That's the thing. They've got acres and acres and acres of cow pasture. So they've got acres and acres and acres of place that they can have wire antennas up.
And
And
acres and
for-
acres of bovine scatology.
For all, well, yeah, but at
My
least the
God,
antennas
look at that.
are above that.
Yeah.
It's really something to see.
Wow, you can see them all in the distance. Just
Where from Okeechobee is that? Is it north of it or?
It's north of the town of Okeechobee, almost to Yeehaw Junction.
Okay.
It's only like 10, 15 miles south of Yeehaw Junction.
Did they rip that hotel down yet?
I don't know.
At Yeehaw Junction?
I have no idea.
The hotel and the little inn that they had there and the little truck stop. Yeehaw Junction's that one. It's really weird. It's like one highway and another one, but they're on a weird angle with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right there at the corner, there's like it was a restaurant and a little truck stop, and they have a little hotel in the back. Well, they closed it down, and not long after it closed down, a semi drove through it.
That's cute.
Yeah, and my wife and I actually stopped by there and took some pictures of it, but they hadn't tore it down yet. The whole front of it was smashed all the way into towards the back. It was pretty bad. So anyway, but yeah, that was when you mentioned Yeehaw Junction. I'm like, yeah, no, they used to call it something else, but I won't say it on. But anyway,